The beleaguered king of good times, Vijay Mallya, has just been granted a bit more fizz from the London High Court, which has agreed to hike his weekly stipend from £5,000 sterling to over £18,000. According to the court order, the weekly allowance for Vijay Mallya has been hiked to enable Mallya to live the lifestyle which he is used to. So after this order, Vijay Mallya will have over £18,000 or over rupees 16 lakh in terms of Indian currency to spend on a weekly basis. Although the global freeze on Vijay Mallya's assets continues to be in place and he will not be allowed to liquidate any of his assets till he gets an express permit from the court to do so. India is seeking the extradition of Vijay Mallya from the UK, where he is facing charges of money laundering among other financial offences. Vijay Mallya owes more than $1.5 billion or over rupees 9,000 crore. Mallya has now petitioned a court in London that the global freeze which has been imposed on his assets should be lifted. The case will come up for hearing on the 16th and 17th of April. Mallya seeking the directive by the Debt Recovery Tribunal in Bengaluru, which was passed on the 19th of January. It should be set aside, and although the freeze on Mallya's assets from being liquidated was passed at a Debt Recovery Tribunal in Bengaluru, Britain, due to a reciprocal agreement between the two nations, is required to implement the order. According to estimates, Mallya has assets worth over 10,200 crore rupees, and the consortium of Indian banks is seeking to recover their loans with interest through these assets. And to give us more information on this news, I'm joined in by our correspondent Saleh. Saleh, clearly the good times continue for Vijay Mallya.
Well, that's exactly how one would have to look at it, Akansha. If you look at the nitty-gritties of this case, this is an extremely long, complicated and protracted case. Now, in India, Vijay Mallya is a wanted man. There are several agencies such as the Enforcement Directorate who want to question Vijay Mallya. There are as many as 17 banks who say that he owes them 9,000 crore rupees. But in Britain, he is a man who's actually on the right side of the law. Now, India is seeking to try and extradite Mallya, but that has not happened so far. There are these court proceedings which are in fact going on. They've been going on for at least about almost 2 years now in the month of March. Because remember, it was in the month of March in 2016 that he had flown out of India and he had gone to London. Now, what has happened in this case is that the London High Court has hiked the allowance that he was allowed to have on a weekly basis from £5,000 to almost about £18,000. Now, this is quite bizarre from the Indian point of view, where people are saying, look, this is a man who has not paid his loans. This is a man who did not pay salaries to his now defunct Kingfisher Airlines. And now his allowance that he's allowed to have from his own funds, that has been hiked well over 3 times. But the fact of the matter is, the London High Court, under the British law, is looking at the facts of the case, and the case as it stands, he's allowed to take money, which is essentially his money, and use it on an allowance basis. But although there is still a freeze, Akansha, let's make this point clear. There is still a freeze. This freeze was in fact put by this Debt Recovery Tribunal in 2016. So he cannot liquidate any of his assets. Now, we're given to understand that he has assets worth well over 10,200 crore rupees. That's more than $1.5 billion in different stakes around the world. So he cannot liquidate any of those assets. The fact is, he can live at this point of time in well over £16,000 per week. That's almost 18 lakh rupees per week is what Vijay Mallya has now been granted to spend from any imagination that one would consider is a lavish lifestyle. But Vijay Mallya says that that is not good enough.
Saleh, clearly, his spendings clearly do not indicate the kind of mess he is involved in. India is also fighting for Mallya's extradition. Saleh, do you think it is actually worth it?
Well, now, there are two ways of, in fact, looking at it. Now, extradition, India is trying to see if legally they could extradite him back to England. Now, the case is being heard in London. Now, so far, the cases have, in fact, gone in favour of Vijay Mallya, considering the kind of clout and money that he has. He's been able to hire the best of the lawyers. Now, some people are saying, look, if 9,000 crore rupees, or roughly about $1.5 billion is what needs to be taken back by the Indian banks. There are 17 banks who've lent money to him. Then probably it would be much easier to try and take the money back through some sort of an out-of-court financial deal. But what the Indian government, of course, is trying to do is they want to extradite him. They want him on several charges of money laundering, of not having paid salaries to the employees that he had employed, and several other cases that have been slapped against him. Now, which is going to be an easier one? That's something that is entirely left to the judgment of the public prosecutor, who's in fact pursuing this case. But at this point of time, Akanksha, let's reiterate this fact. In India, he's a fugitive, he's a wanted man, he's someone who's running away from the law. But in Britain, the fact is, he's on the right side of the law, and this is what has been recognised by the London High Court when it has said that, Vijay Mallya, considering the kind of lifestyle that he has enjoyed, and the money is his, so should be allowed a much bigger allowance than what has been granted to him before.